Ben, just on the at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sometimes we pad episodes. Sometimes we do two at once.
Right.
Not often, but sometimes. We were maybe going to do it, and now it looks like we're not going to do it. Or
Correct.
we talked about doing it, and weren't going to do it. Just want to make sure that you didn't move locations so that we could do two episodes, because I'm planning on going to the store with Jennifer after we do one episode.
No, you're.
I just want to make sure that okay.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Ben is not the kind of person to change plans on me without telling me first.
I would definitely tell you. Boy, that my mic is super hot. I wonder if I can turn down mic settings here.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, you can hear me fine. The people can probably hear me fine, but recording is probably my recording is just way. Maybe I have to get like way back far away from my microphone, but then that makes the picture terrible. I'll just
Gotcha.
I'll just speak softly. I'll speak in a normal voice, and I won't project to the back of the room, much like I normally do when I'm podcasting.
Ben will project to the back of the room. I'm just saying that's a thing. It could happen. Hello, Ben. How's it going, man?
Today on the show, I'm writing the show notes now. You can probably hear that.
I do not have work tomorrow.
Veterans Day.
Because it is Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And my company does not officially give us Veterans Day, but it is an option for us to do, so I did it. The microphone I have seems like it's going to work. I'll just say that I'm not going to get into what happened, but I was enraged.
Oh no!
Last Friday.
Now you have certain benchmarks of enragement. How does this compare to the guy at the Guild 45th?
The guy at the Guild 45th. I did not commit violence against inanimate objects around him.
Oh.
There is a here. I'll show you to my what is that? My right. There's this doll bed. Can you see it? Sort of a bunk bed, doll bed.
Sure.
With a whole bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah.
The blanket and stuff. Okay, so I was in a mood because a computer and perhaps a person wasn't doing what I wanted.
Oh.
At the same time, I got angry and I grabbed the doll bed and I shook it really hard. Everything that was in the doll bed flew around the room, including the microphone that I used to record this podcast. It was sitting in the doll bed.
Is this because of an instance that we don't talk about work?
We don't talk about work, Ben. Let's just say that occasionally I get frustrated.
Yeah.
With just things that are happening in my life, and so the microphone is now damaged.
Oh no!
But it seems to be working just fine.
It sounds good.
It's just a dent in the little screen.
Gotcha.
That's all.
Steven says, point to the face that represents your feelings of rage.
My own.
May the court acknowledge that Paul is pointing to his entire face.
Like this. Yeah. Hey, speaking about which, I just saw a clip that I had forgotten about. A History of Violence, directed by Ed Harris. When asked at I think it was Comic-Con, I want to say, when said if he had anything to add, he said, "What about that?" And he slammed the table really hard. Said, "What about that?" Slams the table again, and he throws a cup behind him and says, "That, it's violence. That's what we're talking about." And it is still at this day. I think if you look up Ed Harris meltdown on YouTube, it'll show it. But people were saying, and I think it's probably true, that Ed Harris was not losing his temper. He was just
making a point,
doing something provocative, right? Related to his movie,
right? Provocative for the effect of being provocative.
Exactly. And he's Ed Harris. I mean, you know, And Harris is a good actor.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point being, today was a better day
I'm
than
glad to hear
some
that.
days that I've had in the past.
I,
So
I, there's so this desk that I'm sitting at is actually
yes,
your old desk, Paul. I don't know if you remember
really,
the jerker. This I think it's an IKEA desk maybe, and it's called the Jerker, Jerker, I believe. Um, Double decker desk. It's got like the big platform down here with a notch cut out so someone can sit close comfortably, and a shelf up top. Um, this platform here, the desk part, is held in by four, I believe, four large bolts on either side, and it has happened in the past where if something has happened while I've been working, let's say a program crashes without when I'm unable to save it, for instance,
yeah.
or just something else happening. I have been known to just slam my fist down on this test table multiple times in rapid succession just to get that anger out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
going to do it now because I
I've
have actually
probably
hurt my hands in the past doing that
I've probably done the same thing
on
on
the
that desk.
same desk. Yeah.
Exactly.
Bam,
Yeah.
bam,
So
bam,
so we
bam.
and when I say we, I mean my family. We go to the grocery store maybe once or twice a week,
Okay.
probably. And I know this sounds crazy, but the grocery bill that we have is about, I want to say it's about $250 a week. That sounds crazy,
Especially for
right? It's
the
for
low cost of living area you live in.
it's for three people,
Right. And
right?
granted, Betty's a teenager. Teenagers are still growing and eating a lot.
But it's still a lot of money. When I think about it.
Well, I mean, that's $1,000 a month.
It's $1,000 a month. It really is.
Yeah.
Um, which seems crazy to me. But when you actually see what we're getting, during that time and all that, it makes sense.
I don't. I've not added up the amount of money I've spent on food in a random month because I don't want to get depressed about how much food costs
Yeah.
around here. But
Food costs a lot.
I can almost guarantee you, for only me, I spend more than $1,000 a month on food.
Now, I would say this. We spend about $1,000 a month on groceries, right?
Yeah.
More money for like eating out and stuff
Right.
like that. Especially, the high point is here now, which is excellent food. Um, but the one thing I'll say is that a difference between before I got this job and every other thing that I've worked, there have been times that we have been at the grocery store and Jennifer and Betty would want something. And before I had this job and lived in Edwardsville, I would say
Yeah.
we can't do it. We, in the worst times, we can't go to the grocery store right now. We have to wait. And we just,
Yeah.
deal
That's
with what we had.
that's when you
So,
that's when you start racking up credit card debt for groceries.
which is crazy. Um, that's one of the things that we do not do, which is we do not use. We have a car loan,
Yeah.
but we don't have any credit cards.
Very
Um,
smart. I mean,
ever since we declared bankruptcy, and it's one of those things of where like we did that a while back.
are you not allowed to have
Uh,
credit cards?
well, no, it's not that. It's just that credit cards are not a good investment in general.
Right.
And then
Well,
we weren't going to use creded cards ever again because of the fact that we had to declare bankruptcy,
right. Yeah. You don't want to start that cycle all over again. I think,
yeah,
it's having credit cards and carrying some debt is fine as long as you're able to pay it off. Paying off your bill every month is actually really smart. It raises your credit score. So you're able to get things like a car loan or a home loan or
yeah.
something.
For
Um,
us, it was just that we were paying off the minimum.
Yeah, yeah. I did that. I did that for
and just
years.
carrying the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to money, Steven says 3 people for a week is $250, about $12 a meal. Have you shopped at Madison Market recently? I think he's talking about how expensive a single meal is at Madison Market.
Ah, I have not, by the way. Madison Market doesn't exist
Yeah.
in Edwardsville.
I started shopping at the downtown PCC, which is a co-op, and I started shopping there. I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, just to be like, I don't want to give money to Kroger or
Yeah, I think
massive
we
chains
talked
anymore.
about. I think we talked about this last time. They did you wrong, Ben.
They did
The
me wrong.
PCC did you wrong.
Yeah, they're closing the downtown store.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about this, and the
It
idea
must have just happened.
PCC used the wording that Target should have
Right.
used, which is the store was underperforming.
Yeah, and it
That's
was.
all you have to
It's
say.
not closing because of crime.
Yeah. Creamy. Um, yeah. So yeah, we talked about that. We talked about how politicians outside of the state of Washington love to, and probably inside the state of Washington, love to use Seattle as an example of an urban hellscape.
Yeah.
All that. Um, I am thinking about again, you know, if I were to move, where would I move to? And it's always Seattle. Seattle is always where I would want. Like if I had a choice to move anywhere I wanted to, I'd move to Seattle. The only reason we moved away from Seattle is we couldn't afford to live in Seattle. We would
Right.
love to move back to Seattle.
It is a very
Can't do it.
expensive place to live.
Expensive city. But that's where it would obviously be. But then everything else, it's one of those things. Jennifer put it best. Either you get all the stuff that you get in a city, in which case, it's very expensive, or you live somewhere that's cheaper, but then you have to worry about all the other stuff
Yeah.
that you don't get. So, the thing that I, Paul Goody, uh, think is in my future is commuter trains. Because when I was in Chicago, I think we talked about this already. I went to the wrong train. I got on the wrong train.
Right.
And what I got on was a local train that ran on the same tracks as Amtrak. And I was like, that's a thing that you can do? And so my thought is that wherever we end up moving and wherever I end up working, um, I'll take, the Amtrak to where the commuter train is and then take the commuter train to where my office is. Never get on a bus, only be on the train. I don't know if it's possible, but I think it would be really nice.
Every once in a while, I will take the Link Light Rail to work. I'll just ride it from Westlake to Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And I was asked once, why don't you just take the bus that goes almost the exact? It'll actually get me closer to Annex if I take the bus instead of walking to and from the train station. And I'm like, it's a completely different thing. Taking the train is a different feel. I find it a better mode of transport than the bus. I think maybe because the cars are physically bigger, and so you can be further away from your fellow travelers, your fellow commuters, when you're on the train. I often don't even sit down when I get on the train. I just go and stand by the door, because it's like I get on one door, the next stop, the door across from it opens up. So don't worry, I'm not in anybody's way. But
Yeah. For me, it's the rail itself. The mode of transportation is different. You're in a long car. You're in a the bus. The bus moves in the same. Now granted, for the light rail in Seattle, I know that it still has to stop sometimes because it's a surface thing, but not always. It
for
also goes
part of the journey, not the entire thing.
tunnels and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's
So
the thing about the train versus the bus, right? If the bus breaks down, you just get out and you're on the sidewalk. If the train breaks down, you have to walk to an exit of the tunnel if you're in the tunnel
yeah,
section, or if you're in one of the high, elevated sections of track. Near SeaTac, the elevated sections of the Link Light Rail are pretty high up there.
Yeah. So then you just say, "See you guys." Whee! And then
Yeah,
whatever happens.
bring your parachute.
I've been having dreams of hanging out with Reggie Watts lately.
Oh yeah.
And in my opinion, I'm just gonna come out here and say this on the podcast. If you have a dream that you're hanging out with Reggie Watts, you are probably hanging out with Reggie Watts. He strikes me as being the kind of person who, if you're having a dream about him, he's probably dreaming as well, either now or in the future, that he's hanging out with you.
I just saw that Conan O'Brien. Ooh, that you open up a Pages document on my
Whoa, look at
monitor.
that.
And,
Yeah,
yeah, check
that's
that
nice.
out. Got some soft light going here. I don't know if I like that. I saw that Conan O'Brien recently interviewed Reggie on his Conan Needs a Friend podcast.
Oh, nice. I'd like to see that. That's probably pretty cool.
On the YouTubes, so I found it.
Yeah. Speaking of on the YouTube, sort of, I sent you, Ben, a couple of GIFs that I've worked on. This is my new thing. I found that Procreate, the thing that I draw cartoons on, has an animation part now with onion skin and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't have the patience, the time, or the, you know, anything to do like an animated, like TV show or even a short.
Even a short cartoon.
But I do have time to make animated GIFs, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I did get your text and the gifts, and at the time I didn't realize it, but my the audio was turned way loud, and so the ding from the text coming in frightened me a little
Oh
bit.
no, Ben, you're okay.
Thanks for that, Paul.
Everything's good. Oh no. So speaking of
Actually, first
yeah, go
off,
ahead.
going back to breaking down on the side of the street, Steven says people die that way a lot. The breakdown on the freeway and jump over the Jersey barrier on the side of the road, only to find out they're very far from the ground. I don't know.
Oh no,
Steven, did you, as an EMT, did you have to deal with somebody who jumped over a Jersey barrier thinking they were at surface level or at grade?
I'm betting he had to deal with more than one of those people.
Yeah. A majority of I-5 is elevated, in around downtown Seattle.
Yeah. Always look. I remember a piece of advice I got from somebody in Columbia, Missouri, a while back is always fight like you're an old man.
Fight like you're an old man.
Yeah, that was I was in a martial arts place, and he said, fight like you're an old man. That way, when you're old, you've been doing it your whole life, and you'll still be able to use all of your technique.
Complaining that your knees are hurting, your back is sore.
Yeah. Well, he said dirty. Throw dirt at them.
Stephen replied, if they've suffered injuries inconsistent with life, you don't call an ambulance. So I guess
oh shit,
Stephen.
Oh, sorry, Ben.
Paul.
Yeah, NYPD Blue rules. It's not a bad word anymore. Imagine I'm Dennis Franz when I say it.
Okay, you're Dennis Franz.
Hey Ben, it's me, your old pal Dennis Franz. I think I died at one point. I'm pretty sure I'm dead now.
The only part of my brain that NYPD Blue occupies is the part of my brain that knows the lead actor left to pursue a movie career and it didn't work out for him.
Are you talking about David Caruso?
I am indeed talking about David Caruso. I know nothing else about NYPD Blue other than, I mean, I know Dennis Franz was in it, but other than David Caruso left after either the first season or the first couple seasons to pursue a movie career, and he didn't. Like, famously, he didn't. Like, he had a good job and left to, like, get more money and fame and flamed out.
There was a movie I saw him in. Can't remember the name of it. It had Nicolas Cage in it. Nicolas Cage played a character. I think the character's name was Junior.
Already, I want to see
Uh,
it.
and he talked about how he doesn't like the taste of metal in his mouth. And there's a scene where David Caruso who puts a gun in Nicolas Cage's mouth and says, "You don't like the taste of metal in your mouth? Well, what about now?" or something like that.
David Caruso, Stephen did remind me that David Caruso did continue his career in one of the uh, autopsy shows. I can't remember.
CSI Miami.
CSI Miami. He
He
did become a movie
famously,
star. Yeah. Yow! Sunglasses and all that.
yeah, it looks like he was total or whatever. If a
Yeah.
cashier died or whatever, and then
Right.
he'd do the thing and then put the sunglasses on. He played a character called I want to say Kit Kat in Hudson Hawk. David Caruso did, who I think
Hudson Hawk, a famously terrible movie.
a famously terrible movie. I believe he didn't talk in it. That was part of his thing. He was like sort of a mime or mime adjacent. It was kind of weird.
Kiss of Death, Steven says, is the name of the
Kiss of
Caruso
Death. That's the name of
Cage
yep,
movie.
yep. I know so many things about Kiss of Death. I don't know why. I think it was a remake,
I gotta fix
maybe
that.
of an older film.
It sounds
I
like the
know
title of an old film.
I know that Nicolas Cage like owned or operated a strip club called Baby Cakes. I want to say something like that. It was gross. It was a gross thing. So
I've turned down my mic settings, so I think that'll be better, at least on my recording area.
I know you and I have talked about this forever, but
My recording
and Ben,
area.
ooh, let's find out. Let's find out. Maybe I haven't talked about it as much as I thought. If
Yeah.
I were to remake an old movie, if I had an endless budget and could do whatever I wanted to with it, what movie would I remake? I've talked about it a couple of times, not a lot though.
You,
So if
Paul
you don't get
Goody,
it, don't feel bad.
if you were going to remake an old movie, are we talking like black and white 40s, 50s kind of movie?
It's a movie that's been remade once before, so there is a black and white version. There's also, I think, a 1970s version.
Okay. I don't actually know what movie it is, so.
And it's sort of the version of it. There's a movie that has a similar plot that has Jason Statham in it, but it was not called the same thing as this movie. The movie is DOA.
DOA.
And it's a guy who's trying to solve his own murder because he's been poisoned and he's gonna die. And in my version of DOA,
Dead on arrival.
It starts out normal, and then as the poison starts taking effect, things just get weird as his mind deteriorates.
Okay.
And so yeah.
Steven is in the comment
would be
section
awesome.
defending Hudson Hawk.
Oh, well, I mean, I haven't seen. Famously, Stephen, I haven't seen Hudson Hawk. I've seen just some of the clips of it, one of which is of David Caruso. I recently infuriated Jennifer when she said, "Have you seen blank?" And I said, "I don't know." She's like, "How can you not know?" But she knows how I wouldn't know.
I forget a lot of things that I watch.
Yep, it's because we watch a lot of things, Ben.
Yeah. Some of it just doesn't stick.
Speaking about things that I'm watching,
sometimes you have
that
a
are
bourbon
good.
movie. Yeah.
I'm a big Wes Anderson fan now. I was kind of a Wes Anderson fan, but now
you're a big one.
As of this week,
what did you watch
I'm
that
a
turned
huge
you?
Wes Anderson fan.
Asteroid City?
I'm in the middle of watching Asteroid City, which is brilliant. I really want to see The French Dispatch, which I haven't seen yet. But no, it's his short films that he did on Netflix.
I've seen
of the Roald Dahl thing.
I've seen that they are there. I've not watched them, but I saw that they're available.
I am serious when I say this. Probably my favorite pieces of film, perhaps ever.
I
like it.
Big words, Paul.
Better than Amelie. I like them.
better than Cats.
No, well, Amelie has been my favorite film.
Yeah.
And I still really like Amelie, but I think that these are better. And the reason is because, and you'll know when you watch it what I'm talking about. There are elements of theater that he brings into it
Yeah.
that are kind of amazing.
I mean, Netflix does that thing when you like when you hang out on a title, it'll just automatically start playing the trailer. And so
Uh-huh.
I've heard the first few minutes of a lot of them, just because like I'm there and I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out either like, oh, is that a new Wes Anderson movie I haven't heard about? Because normally there's a lot of buzz around his theatrical
Yeah.
releases.
Yeah. So they're really, really good. And it made me actually buy Asteroid City.
Oh, really?
Um, like I own it now on Apple.
No, you don't own it. You are
Oh,
leasing the rights
right.
to watch
I'm
it.
leasing the rights to watch it from Apple. Right.
They can take that away from you at any moment.
Uh, and well, they should, Ben. I don't deserve anything. Um, I still remember back in the early no, in the late 70s, in the late 70s and 80s, late
Late
70s,
70s,
early
early
80s,
80s.
when my dad was able to take an album that we had in uh, our house and put it on a cassette and play that album in the car, and how exciting I was about that, and
Yeah.
how I thought at the time what we actually have bought when we buy the album is the song itself, and how cool that was. And then as I got older, I found out US copyright law, no, that is not what you've done. Oh, speaking about which, I don't know if you heard this, Midjourney. Oh, I know I told you this. I told you this last time. Midjourney taken out of the lawsuit for AI art stuff. We already talked about that.
I just saw a clip from The Daily Show. I think it was from this week. Sarah Silverman was hosting about AI, and they played a clip with an interview with the creator of Midjourney.
Oh,
And I forget the fella's name, but the guy, the interviewer, was trying to tell him that he is involved in the controversy surrounding AI image generation. And he's like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Actually, yes, you are." The guy finally admits, "Yeah, I think I am."
it is actually interesting. I've sat through many a long he said he had these things called office hours.
Yeah,
He sat through many of a long office I've sat through many of a long office hours where that has been debated. And I mean I've talked about it in this podcast before. I'm of, Betty got me to understand, and I think and I actually think it's true that the people that this is the way I look at it. The people that use the software, right? Because of the way the software works, are not technically stealing from the artists. However, also because of the way the software works, training
it's the
on the
software stealing
material
from the artist.
without without the artist's consent or paying them, uh, does, if you're charging for your service, does, you know, raise ethical questions to the
Right.
point where I wasn't using
Yeah.
it. Um, but I still feel like, um, some of, and like I said, you saw the gift that I made. They're great, right? They're really fun. They're cute and all that. I can I did that freehand on my own. But the most fun that I've had making stuff, and I do consider it making stuff, has been doing stuff with the AI art generation, because it's tweaking. It's like playing with a synthesizer, and you're tweaking the knobs, and you're like, what does this do, and stuff like that. You haven't written a song necessarily, but you are playing, and you're making a thing. The software is making the thing.
Yeah.
You're adjusting the parameters and working with it. I'm feeding it two separate images, and it's coming up with the what the middle ground between those two images are. And it was really fun and amazing to watch.
The SAG-AFTRA strike is over. Speaking of AI,
Yeah, I heard about that.
yeah, I haven't read any of the details about how the concessions that each side gave up in terms of AI and actors
Yeah, I haven't heard
and
that
images
either.
and licenses and all that stuff. But I mean, both sides agreed.
I heard and I don't know exactly how this is measured exactly, but I heard it was like over $1 billion in favor of the union, whatever stuff they got.
That
But
sounds like a very large number.
wonderful for them.
Yeah.
Good, you know, union making it. I'm still wait. I think Betty, maybe not me, but I think Betty may live in a post job world.
Like a
I don't know if I'm going to make it.
post-apocalyptic society.
Oh yeah, a post job world. Nobody has a job because everything's on fire. Yeah, no, I just mean I mean a post scarcity. It's possible. It's possible, probably not, but I think it might work for her. Might be able to do it.
Well, if the bees continue to die, there's, and the food supply dwindles, then things might even out. I think there was a whole subreddit called Thanos was right.
Yeah. I had you and I, Ben, you and I have already talked about all these ideas that I've had for shows. You and I have come up with ideas for shows together, but do you remember the show called Half?
Half. I do not remember the show called Half.
Half is half the world starts fighting the other half of the world, and nobody knows why. And it's not broken down by geography. It's 50% of the population of all animals, not just people, but like, all animals, they start fighting each
Animals
other.
are fighting too.
Yeah. Um,
Sounds like a
and it's
Next Generation
relentless,
episode.
and and so what we come across, right, are a group of people who are on one half that are far enough away from people on the other half that they're not fighting them right then. And they're the and the way that it would work is that, I mean, they're just catching their breath. It's like it's not zombie apocalypse, right? But it is relentless fighting of two groups of people.
Yeah.
And it's only been happening for like, the past 8 hours or whatever. But just
Like a
no
purge
holds
day.
right, no holds barred fighting, people just trying to kill each other. And so you've got the group
Everybody's
that
trying to
found each
kill.
other.
Nobody's trying to survive.
Ooh, that's the tagline, Ben. It's a little clunky, but I think we can do it.
Well, it's the first draft.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just nonstop fight scenes. Uh, and
Much
and
like
people trying to figure
anime.
out what's happening. Yeah. And so then, the idea is that you find scientists, and they're like, do you know what's happening? And they're like, no, we don't, but we're working on a really awesome weapon. So like that's all
Let me
anybody's
demonstrate it
thinking
on Dr.
about.
Pants over here.
Hey. Um, so who knows? Oh, hey, I do want to show you one thing. So this is my office chair, right? And this is a pipe that goes into my house. You see it here?
No, it's off frame. For me,
Oh, okay.
I've got you cropped pretty narrow.
All right. So I'm gonna pick it up and move it over for just a second.
Oh,
Uh,
the pipe with
so
the knob there.
this
Yeah,
so this right here. You see this little screw right here?
yeah. Okay.
There's a loop on this chair. I'm not gonna pull it out, but oh wait, yeah, here it is. See it?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that loop.
That gets hooked onto that screw. And it's the most annoying thing because it gets hooked on that screw, and then my chair gets hooked to it during my workday, and if I try to get up, it's hooked onto it
it
and all that.
it keeps me working throughout the day.
So there's another side where I pulled this loop out over here. But the thing is that this chair cost me like $20 or something like that at Goodwill. And a chair equivalent of this is like, in the hundreds of dollars. So
Ooh.
I'm more than happy to use this chair instead. But yeah, I haven't been at a real office for quite some time. And it's funny how
It's been a
much
minute for me
money
too.
probably an employer would save by having me work here instead of there. Did I tell you though
So use
my
that in your
experience at
pitch.
Microsoft?
What's your experience at Microsoft?
When I worked at Microsoft, they didn't have an office for me. They just had me work on my laptop in one of the food court places,
Yeah.
and it was so weird, but I loved it because I could just get up and get food whenever I wanted to, and I was working, fine doing that. Um, and it made me think about a campus where you can work wherever where there are no offices. And I realized that there are places like that. There are tons of places like that that's exactly right. You don't have your desk, you have
There's
a
a
space that you,
there's a big company down here in Seattle that I've done some work for, and when I did go to the office, but everybody had like a desk. There were offices. I think very few like actual offices. It was a big open concept floor plan. On
hmm
like the 40th floor or whatever. Um, but now they've decided to go full remote, and they still have office space available for those who want to use it. Nobody's got an assigned desk, however. When you want to come and work, you talk to like a facilities person, and they'll tell you where you should work, like
yeah,
what's open. So you don't know. You could be sitting at different desks every day if you want to go in.
interesting. Um, I heard that some big companies in Seattle are actually trying to get their employees to come back
Yeah,
in.
and not doing a very good job of the PR either, because I've heard a lot of stories about that large company threatening to fire employees for not wanting to return to work, even though 2-3 years ago they told these same employees, yeah, go ahead and buy that house in Cle Elum.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that company, here's how bad I want to live in Seattle. Hey, hit me up, that company. I'll move back. I'll start working for you, even though they will never hire me because I have a flag in my file that says don't hire this
Never
guy.
hire this man.
Yeah. I wonder if we could push that. See what happens. Huh. Not gonna do it. And of course, we're talking about Wizards of the Coast. Hasbro has
WOTC.
no, we are not. But so I am a member of an indie gaming collective, and I really love indie games a lot. I don't hate Dungeons and Dragons as much as many people on it do, which makes me feel a little um, out of out of bounds, I guess, sometimes with them. Like they, because I mean it does make sense, right? There are lots of problems with Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro as a company,
Yeah.
right? They're big companies. They have lawyers. They do lawyery things and stuff like that. They don't always treat the people that give them stuff correctly. All that stuff. So in spirit, I am there, but it's the same thing. Like I buy things from Amazon, um, which is a company. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Heard of it.
They ship things um, to you through the mail. They're a mail order company with a an ordering process that you can do online, which makes it very convenient to
Allow 6 to 8 weeks for delivery, I'm sure.
Well, sometimes Ben, you'll be especially if you there's like a club you can join that they do, and then they'll ship it to you faster.
Wow. So 4 to 6
Get
weeks.
priority. Again, Ben, I need to mention the pitch that we made at one point in time that might actually become reality. I don't think that it ever made it into a spin the bottle, but America Plus. Um, it's basically a citizenship upgrade where it's like, yeah, but if you join American Plus, taxes are a lot lower. You get to, do this, this, and this, and it got too depressing because we realized it just was what it meant to be a rich person.
Yeah. Yeah.
The laws don't matter. I still find it, and Ben, this won't get me into a camp probably, but who knows? The concept that our former president, who is thinking about running for president again,
Oh,
may
he's not just thinking about it,
is
he's doing it.
is actually ahead in the polls,
Yeah.
even though there are multiple. I feel like I've said this to a couple people already. I'll say it to
91
you as well.
felony accounts.
I feel as though his plan, this is his Hail Mary, is that he's going to become president and then say that he can't go to jail because he's the
That's
president.
exactly
That
why
is
he's running. He has no
that is
interest
what's going to
in
happen.
governance. He just wants to protect himself and smite his enemies.
So that's crazy.
One of the things that's given me some comfort when I hear the polling numbers about how Trump is ahead of Biden and now RFK Jr. is getting into the mix, which could pull voters from both sides apparently, is that at this time in Obama's first term, when he was running against Mitt Romney, at this point in the election cycle, Romney was ahead in the polls. So the
Yeah.
incumbent traditionally has low poll numbers, low approval numbers before the election cycle for whatever freaking reason, right? I have no idea why,
Yeah.
but
Well, everybody doesn't like the same thing. But Ben, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. Gonna be nuts. Um, because I mean, it's one of those things where just everybody is just like, well, reality doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everything's gonna be whatever anybody else wants it to be, and you know, Looney Tunes, Chaos Ben.
Chaos
That
Ben. Don't call
Chaos
that
Ben.
guy to your party.
Oh man, can you imagine? Yes, I can. Hurricane Ben. There's been one. I'm sure of it.
Has there? I don't remember any.
Hurricane Ben. Yes, I'm gonna say there. Oh, or was it Hurricane Benjamin? It might have been. Ben, are you a Benjamin?
I am a
Are you
Benjamin, and
Benjamin?
in fact, to
Benjamin
all the
Benjamin David
look,
Lawrence.
you got it, sir.
I did it.
All the people who take my name at like coffee counters and bagel counters, I say Benjamin. I don't say Ben because in a loud environment, Ben can be misunderstood for a few different
Yep.
things. And so there's no other name that rhymes with Benjamin.
What about Benjamin?
Dang it, Paul.
Yeah. Let's see. You've got Kenjamin, Benjamin,
Lenjamin.
Benjamin, Genjamin, Henjamin. Henjamin is good. I like.
Henjamin.
Uh, we already said
I
Kenjamin. Lenjamin.
said that one.
Nenjamin is. I don't know. And you notice I skipped over Benjamin. It's because it's the first one I said. Benjamin. Benjamin isn't bad. The pit and the Benjamin. Renjamin, Lenjamin. I already did Lenjamin. Senjamin. Stenjamin.
He did it Oprah, right?
Benjamin. Wenjamin. Yenjamin. Yenjamin, strangely enough, starts with a J. Anyway.
Rhymes with Benjamin. Name my
Exactly.
new album.
I did like we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I need to shout it out again because it's so great. Where Eminem, uh, somebody said nothing rhymes with orange, and he proved them wrong.
Right.
My favorite thing that he said, door hinge.
Door hinge.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's great.
I mean, 2 words. Are we going to count that?
I'm gonna count it. Yeah, absolutely. Um, there is there's something. Oh yeah, Elton John and Eminem are friends, and
They make for curious bedfellows.
he he got Elton John and his husband some paraphernalia when they got married as a gift.
Some paraphernalia, like weed paraphernalia?
No, no. See, that's what sexual paraphernalia.
Some
And I don't
toys,
want
I'm assuming.
to. Well, yeah, accoutrement,
Or
if you
like
will.
artwork.
Uh, things that one would wear.
Things that go bump in the night.
Yes, exactly. So to speak. Uh, but anyway, the main thing is that Sir Elton John just reiterated that not only did because he showed up and sang the Dido part for Stan, I think, with Eminem on some MTV thing.
Yeah.
And he was on a talk show recently and just wanted to mention that wasn't a one-time thing, that they became friends after that, which I think is nice. To know that the two of them can be friends. I can hear you, Ben.
I just realized something, Paul.
Oh, that's a microphone, Ben.
I thought I set my mic input to be the onboard mic of my laptop, but no, instead it is this thing right here. That is why
yes.
it's so loud, and when I touched it,
Yeah.
it made noise. Sorry about that,
That's what
everybody.
she said. Well, I think you've heard this before, but that's what she said. In Great Britain, they often said the call girl to the bishop.
Who's she when
which I
she's
think
at
is interesting.
home?
Oh, yes. Bob's your uncle. Oh man, there was some etymology of a word that I now can't remember. Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. But one of the things they said that maybe it was Cockney rhyming slang. That's why this thing was said, but I forget what it was. Oh my gosh, Ben.
Paul,
You know what I can do? I can look up Wikipedia
on the internet,
and I can look at what it was that I searched for.
While you're doing that, I'll mention that Stephen commented that commercial real estate is in real trouble. We were talking about remote work and empty office spaces. Listen to the All In podcast. I'm assuming that's the All In with Chris Hayes MSNBC show podcast to hear billionaires complain about the feds. To hear billionaires complain that the feds have to bail out developers.
Oh. I know what it was, Ben.
What was the etymology?
Here's the interesting thing. I looked it up, and I didn't look it up on Wikipedia, but when I was looking through my Wikipedia history, I remembered what it was. Like, just searching for the history made me remember. 86.
To be 86?
When you say 86 the fries.
Yeah.
Or whatever. One of the things that they suggested was that 86 is Cockney rhyming slang for nix. You 86 it, you nix it. Other things were that there was a bar, a specific speakeasy that had an 86th Street exit and a different exit. There's an entrance on Main Street and an exit on 86 or something like that.
Yeah.
And when they said 86 the customers, it was get them to leave through the 86 door because the cops were going to be coming in the other door.
That's a
And
that
that's
seems
where the
hyper
term 86
localized.
came from.
I would more trust the Cockney rhyming slang because that's more
Yeah,
cultural.
I think that makes sense.
I did hear one. You probably know this already. Screensaver.
Uh,
But and this wasn't recent. This was probably within the last five years or so. That the phrase "being sent up the river" has its roots in people being sent up the Hudson River to Rikers Island.
oh, I didn't know
But when
that.
you
Yeah.
say if you're going up the river, to meaning you're going to prison, it's originally referred to Rikers.
Skid Row, apparently,
Right
from
over
Seattle.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yesler Way, I think.
And the idea was that that's where they would throw logs or something,
Yeah, down to the bay.
where logs would go, so
It
you
would
would skid
skid
them
them down.
along.
Yeah.
And I guess if you were it would be a dangerous place to stay because of all the logs,
You
maybe.
don't want to get hit by one of the logs.
Yeah, exactly. Uh. Um, so it was 80 degrees yesterday.
Wow. Not
And
here.
today it was 50.
That's
So
a 30-point swing.
lots of fluctuation. Yeah.
It's it was like
Wait.
in the mid 40s here. Now it's still in the mid to upper 40s with rain forecasted
Ugh.
until 8, which is good because I'm going to be here at past 8. So,
That was one of my most miserable times. I talk about how we want to move back to Seattle, but man, working construction and going to construction on the bus in the rain
at 4:30
was just yeah
when
at
it's dark
4:30
at 4:30, yeah.
just was not cool. I like not doing that.
Yeah.
That's
And now that we've expired daylight savings time, it is now getting. I mean, it's dark outside. It's not even 5. I mean, it's not totally dark, but it's by 5:30 it will be nighttime.
yeah. Daylight savings time. I prefer not daylight savings time because I like it being light in the morning. I like that light waking me
Like
up.
getting up, yeah. There's not
Well, because I have
like
to get up at
going
that
to
time.
work in the dark. I'm like, you don't go to work, you go to the basement, but like
Yeah.
driving to the office, say if one does when it's still dark outside, and then coming home when it's dark outside at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's kind of defeating. Which is why a lot of people don't like living in Seattle during the wintertime because it's there's we get what is it like I don't even know the like 8 hours of daylight or something, some
Yeah.
absurd number like that.
I mean, when I first lived in Seattle, I was working nights, so it
Right.
was fine for me. Um, I didn't see the sun, you know, at night for a really long time, but in the morning, it would when I got off of work, it
Yeah.
would always be light out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool because I would always get up, and there was something really nice about going home while everybody else is going into work and being like, haha.
I don't know. I thought you lived on 4th Avenue at that point, didn't you?
Yeah,
Like I can't
4th and
imagine. I
Virginia.
can't imagine trying to sleep during the daytime in that part of town.
Oh, well, easy.
Earplugs.
I always wear earplugs.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking about which, last night, um, this is the craziest thing. I don't remember going to bed. I remember waking up and not having my earplugs in. So I must have gotten into bed and fallen asleep like right away.
This was just this last night.
Yeah, just
You
last
still
night.
wear earplugs at night?
I always wear earplugs. I wear earplugs and see these headphones here?
Yeah.
I have the kind that you wear in construction,
Yeah.
right? I put my earplugs in and then I put my headphones on. And then eventually I take those off during the night. I take the headphones off, but I leave the earplugs in. And the reason is because Betty and Jennifer are up
Right.
way past when I am.
Right. So you
And
don't ever do you use an alarm clock to wake up in the morning?
no, I just wake
You
up.
just wake up in
Hmm.
plenty of time for work. I would never be able to do. I need my alarm because otherwise I would just blow past the
No,
time
no,
I need to get
I
up.
am that is the one thing is I am concerned about once if I actually get all the treatment for my OCD that I need, that I won't wake up in time. But no, the big thing is that Betty wakes me up because she goes to school before me.
Ah,
Um, that's number one. But number two, I usually wake up like, you know, right around 6 is my wake up time. I usually wake up right around 6
yeah. 4
in
a.m. my
general.
time.
Yeah.
I was up at 4
That's
a.m.
one of
today.
that's one of the other reasons why I wouldn't necessarily want to live in Seattle, even though I do want to live in Seattle. If I still have the same work hours, I
Right.
wouldn't like it.
You don't want to
I'd
get up
still
at
do
4
it,
a.m.
but yeah, yeah, getting up at 4 would not be great. Although I could do it,
That's one of those
and
things.
again,
Is like it just becomes part of your daily routine.
I could work nights again. That's what I used to, I used to work nights, and um, it's still possible. I still remember though, Ben. I think I told you this before. I was working at this place, working nights. Not when I was working for the big company. When I was working for the smaller company,
Yeah.
working nights. A lot of my job was making sure that the servers stayed up.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at my desk, looking up the ceiling, and I was like, "This is the strangest company I've ever worked for. Why did they do? Why did they make all their tiles the Last Supper?" That's really weird. Is this some sort of a Christian company? And I was basically falling asleep while I was looking at the ceiling
Yeah.
and dreaming while I was looking at the ceiling that I was looking at the ceiling. And that happened to me a couple of times when I was in college as well. Like working, like I had been up all night working, and I was in the theater. I was looking up again all the time. It's when I'm lying down looking up, and the light fixtures formed a face, and I was like, that's really kind of
And
cool
you
that they
weren't
made
even
these.
on mushrooms at the time.
I was not. Turn this plane around, I said. I don't know exactly how that guy worked, but no, I was not. I was simply falling asleep
Yep.
uh, while still
Due
awake.
to exhaustion.
Yep. Hey, speaking of due to exhaustion, I we have exhausted our time doing the podcast,
Hey,
Ben.
look
We're
at
at the
that.
end.
Did a full hour in like one
We did
minute.
a full hour. And we did a full hour in 1 minute, says Ben. That's not exactly
We're
what
just
you said.
blowing
So
through nap time.
I'm really happy to talk to you as always, Ben. Thank you so much for taking this time with me.
Yeah.
We didn't talk to you people from the future that much, but just so you know, this podcast is for people in the future, hundreds of years in the future, to find out what life is like in the
Hundreds,
21st century,
maybe thousands of
maybe
people in the
thousands.
future.
We'll see. All right,
Thousands
Ben.
of people in the future. That's what I said.
I'll actually talk to you after the podcast.
Yeah.
But for everyone else, you'll hear us talk to each other next
Next
week.
week.